Hey guys, welcome back to another video. It's Stephen here, just sat in my living room, being honest. Very late night video, and it's not going to be the most detailed one in terms of tactics and all that kind of stuff. More just a chat about the game tomorrow. I'm downstairs because mainly I don't want to be up in the office because the wife and the baby are asleep. So I thought just a nice little 10-minute chat about the game tomorrow before I do the watch along in the morning, and talk about how I feel about the game in general. Now, of course, there's no denying that this game comes off the back of a very bad run of form for Manchester City Football Club. Like, things aren't looking good. I think 4 draws and a loss in our last 5. It's not good at all. Is that right? Something like that. Either way, we haven't won in a month, put it that way. It's been really, really, really up and down. And of course, it culminated the other day in a 1-0 defeat against Aston Villa, which was not good. In fact, that was the first time watching Manchester City that I've been worried because they played it off the park. They absolutely played it off the park at times. They were by far the better side. And that, to me, is something that we don't see very often. We do not see, in fact, we've never seen it. I don't think I've ever seen a Guardiola side at Manchester City outplayed, seriously, and people thought I was overreacting that, but it was more I don't ever mind a defeat. It's always the manner of the defeat and what the defeat means, It's about the performance, and that to me was probably the worst performance in a game that actually mattered. What I mean by that, not a Carabao Cup game where Pep sort of rotates plays, doesn't really care, and isn't that bothered if we go out. In a game that matters, a Premier League game or a Champions League or whatever, the worst individual performance I've probably seen. You can talk about Everton or Leicester maybe in the first season, or maybe Lyon when we exited the Champions League. Those games still had their merits when we still had attacks, and it was more great finishing against us as opposed to terrible domination from the other side. This was getting dominated and not creating any chances. It was bad. It was really bad. Which leads us to Luton. This game has become an absolute must-win. The league results have gone well today for us. As I'm recording this, United lost to Bournemouth 3-0 at home. There's always United in these. Always United to make you feel better about everything with Manchester City. As well, there was a shock loss for Arsenal to Aston Villa. Villa are good, man. We've got to take them seriously. We really do have to take them seriously right now. Liverpool managed to win 2-1 late on again. But the table does look reasonably close. We'll be 4 points off the top if we get a victory with no De Bruyne yet and everything like that, and all the problems that we've had. It'll feel manageable, basically. But that means it is a must-win. We have to win this game. And I always think games like this are really interesting. Now, Pep in the press conference, I'm not going to read all his quotes, but the general tone of one of Guardiola was defiant. He talked about how it's only a failure if Manchester City don't win the league. If it's not a failure if Chelsea don't win it, if Arsenal don't win it, Liverpool win it, United, it's only a failure if Manchester City did. And the point of that, he's talking about the expectations on City are insanely high. He's talking about how City are judged by different standards, which is true. It's absolutely true. Once again, he's sort of defending these players a little bit. Of course, that's not to say he feels these players can't play like that, can play like that. No, of course not. He absolutely knows that the performance was nowhere near the level that required. But he's right to talk about that. He came out and quite passionately defended his side. Now, having said that, there were rumours going around that Guardiola was not very happy at all. I think the players had sort of implied that as well, that Pep was just not happy with what he saw the other day. It was poor, it really was. And we simply have to be better than that. I mean, we are sort of hamstrung by a lack of options right now. I think Doku apparently is not going to be available. There are rumours about Haaland, which not available, which we'll get into in a minute. But of course, we do have the returning Jack Grealish and Rodri, which makes me think, wonder what Pep will do. The thing is, that was the first time I saw us fail to control a game possession-wise. Truly failed to control it. Villa had, I think it was about 50-50 possession, but that's a rarity for Manchester City. And at times it felt like Villa were having all the ball, all the territorial advantage anyway, at the very least. And that is unheard of. Pep will not like that. That to me will scream back to basics. You've got to go back in there and win the ball and keep the ball and pass the ball and move the ball. All those really obvious cliched things, but they are true. And to be honest, I think Pep was also right when he said afterwards that he's looking forward to the challenge of this. He talked about the power of failure, and what I mean by that, sometimes you judge a player, when they've failed, you need it as a way to motivate yourself again, to prove everyone wrong. And I think there's an element of that will come into play here. You can look a player in the eyes after they lose and see what they're made of. You can see if they're ready for the test or the battle. And I think it can be a stark reminder of that things aren't going to be easy. And I think these City players probably needed that. And not that they're complacent. Guardiola made a very good point to defend the players for complacency. He called that when you just turn up late, you think you've worn out the big shot. They're not doing that. They're still working hard. But everyone wants it now. Everyone is hungry. Everyone wants to beat Manchester City. And he's aware of that. So I think these players now, they are aware just of the size of the task in front of them. They weren't already. And of course, Pep will be drumming that into them. Of course, Pep made a big point about talking about how it can't just be Rodri. He said creatively we weren't anywhere near at the level that we should be. We need to do better on the ball and create chances, and that's actually true. Of course, it is. There's a dependency on Rodri, like there was a dependency previously on De Bruyne to create chances. It has to be better, and we have to find a way around it. The one thing I do know is that there would have been a lot of introspection at the training ground. Pep would have been looking at what works, what doesn't work, and how we get past this. Because that was our nadir this season. That was our lowest moment, in my personal opinion. Even lower than Wolves and so on. And it just has to be better than that. I'm sure it will, for what it's worth. I'm sure it will, There's only so many times you can watch that game back and not get frustrated. Like Pep would have been watching the training ground thinking, I need to sort that out. Apparently he's been looking forward in general to the Luton game, But of course he'll be paying attention to what went wrong against Aston Villa. Many things did. And of course when you've got a team like this, they are inherently, they are winners. And I do expect a reaction of sorts. And I'm sort of interested and intrigued by the prospect of that. Like, how will they react? What will Pep do? What are the tactical changes that he'll make? Because I think he's going to have to make some, I think it's fair to say the game the other day, it just did not work, I'm looking at the team right now against Aston Villa. It just didn't work at all. Alvarez and Lewis ahead of Stones, Akanji, Haaland and Foden, Silva, Vardy, Diaz, Walker. It didn't work. Now, there are going to be some changes. There are rumours, going back to the Haaland point earlier, that he might not be available. If he isn't, I'm not going to panic. I don't know why he wouldn't be available. It's just some FPL guy on Twitter saying that. If he's not available, I'm not worried. Alvarez might even be perfect for this game. His energy up front, pressing, and back into a more natural role for him. I trust Julian Alvarez, absolutely. Every single game, I trust him through the middle. And he could be great away at Kenilworth Road. A horrible, brilliant, but horrible, close, intense atmosphere, old school stadium. I would love to see how Alvarez handled that. He'd handled it perfectly, is the honest answer. And if that does happen, then will you think, well, surely Foden central, or Grealish central, or middle, something like that. I would expect in terms of the team, look, I'm not going to bring the graphics up the screen, so I can't be bothered. It's late at night when I'm doing this video. It'll be Ederson in goal, of course. I do think we'll see Ake come into this. Ake come into with Ruben Diaz. John Stones, I think, will start alongside him. And I can see Kyle Walker, potentially. Akanji on the bench. I think Kyle Walker, it could even be Akanji right back. But I'm going to say Ake, Diaz, Stones, Walker. With Stones stepping into midfield in the current Akanji role alongside Rodri, which I think is what we've all wanted to see for ages. Now, of course, Grealish will be back. I think Grealish will play on the left-hand side. There are rumours that there's no Doku. I don't think he's quite available yet. So I'm going to presume he isn't too. So bearing that in mind, I think it'll be Jack Grealish on the left. I think Phil will probably play central alongside Kovacic, is my guess, with Bernardo Silva on the right behind Alvarez. Or, if Haaland's there, Alvarez will play as a 10. But I think it's going to be something like that. It could be Núñez, of course. Núñez could get a start. Rico Lewis might get another game, but I thought he was not quite at his best the other day. So I would be surprised if there's some changes there. What I do know is that we sort of do need, in my personal opinion, need to go back to what we know a little bit. I would lean on experience here. I would lean on the players that have been there and done it to an extent. That's why I would talk about Jack Grealish and Nathan Ake and people like that. I think there's something to be said for that. And I do hope, with the return of John Stones alongside Rodri in the centre there, the return of Rodri and Stones, of course, another game down in terms of his pursuit for fitness. I do hope that would be enough, that should be something there. Like, Luton are going to be aggressive. They absolutely are. I mean, of course, they are struggling down at the bottom, but we can't deny that they gave Arsenal a fright. They are good at set pieces, They'll get at us that way. And it was obviously 4-3 to Arsenal at the end, but Luton, they troubled them. They took their chances really well. And they have got some quality players, obviously Ross Barkley we all know a lot about. They've got 𝙏𝙬𝙨𝙩𝙬 as well, of course, on loan from Man City. I'm not sure he's going to be available. No, I think he's on loan from the City Football Group. I don't know how that works. Who has he registered at? If he's at Man City, will he play? I don't know. 𝙤𝙬𝙗 as well. You can't take him not seriously, can you? 𝙤𝙬𝙗 is the kind of guy who will score a goal from 30 yards against us, that everyone will remember, for little old Luton Town. I can't wait, man. I can't wait for this game. I do, in general. It's great winning 15 games in a row, but every now and then it is good to look into the players' eyes and see if they've still got that hunger and that desire. I've got a feeling this game could answer quite a few questions for us. I think Pep will. He won't. sort of, it won't be a full scale change. There'll be tweaks here and there, players coming around. It'll be more. It won't be a drastic personnel change. It'll be more ideas change and focus again and go back to what we do well and work on it in the training ground. And I can't wait to see how they react. I really can't. I think we'll be good. I've got a feeling we're going to react to this because we have to. Essentially, we have to. I'm going to say we'll win this. 3-1. I think we'll concede because we always concede these days. But Alvarez, if he plays for the middle, I can see him grabbing a brace, Fingers crossed he will do. And I'm hoping that we just, more than anything, just control the ball. Don't concede sloppy goals. Don't make yourself a nightmare defensively, because we need to be a little bit more focused. Anyway, let me know your predictions. I will be live for the watch along tomorrow, of course. Just a very late video here, but a quick one. Thoughts on the game and sweltering. That fire is hot. It really is. But it's a cold winter's day, and I've been chilling. Anyway, keeping my voice down a little bit. In a bit. Good night. All the Blues. See you tomorrow.